Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday in Major League Baseball. First up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the New York Yankees. We're going to see Luis Gil and Matthew Boyd as the projected starters. You know, Matthew Boyd put together a really strong outing in his season debut. He was pitching well in the minor leagues for his rehab starts, but the Guardians' offense is really struggling right now, especially against right-handed pitching. They had a miserable series offensively against the Brewers this weekend, and they were swept in that series. And if you're struggling against starting pitchers like Colin Ray and Aaron Savale, I think it's going to be really tough against a guy like Luis Gil. I know he wasn't his best in his last game, but he's put together an excellent season this year. 12-6 record, 3.25 ERA. He has good strikeout numbers. I mean, the Guardians do a great job at limiting strikeouts, but I still think Gil could put together a bounce-back strong outing. He's been even better at home this season, a sub-3 ERA at Yankee Stadium. I'm going to roll with the Yankees in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line and run line. Next up, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Miami Marlins. Eduardo Rodriguez and Edward Cabrera are your starters. I've mentioned Eduardo Rodriguez so far, 5.06 ERA. He's given up a lot of sharp contact in those first two starts. Now, both of those were victories for the Diamondbacks, but I do worry about him here against the Marlins. Miami's actually been pretty solid against left-handed pitching in the last 30 days with right around league average numbers in OPS and ISO. I think they can get to Rodriguez for a few runs early. Cabrera's been pitching better. You know, last game wasn't his best against the Phillies, but before that, he was pitching really well against the Padres, Braves, some tough lineups. I think he could put together a bounce-back start. He's been a lot better at Lone Depot Park. I think he's going to get the run support here. The Marlins' bullpen's been pretty solid. I think the value lies with Miami in this one. I'd lean towards the over as well, but give me the Marlins on the money line. Next up, the Rockies and the Nationals, a pair of lefties on the mound. In this one, Austin Gomber and DJ Hertz. I think this is a good matchup for the Nationals' bats. They've been pretty solid against left-handed pitching. They do a good job at limiting strikeouts. I think that bodes well for him against a guy like Austin Gomber, who doesn't really miss a lot of bats to begin with. And believe it or not, it's been better at Coors Field than he's been on the road. So far away from Coors this year, he's got a 2-6 record, 5.16 ERA. I think the Nationals get on the board early. The Rockies have really struggled against lefties in the last month. They're 28th in team OPS. I think Hertz puts together a solid outing. Give me the Nationals on the run line at Nationals Park. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Dean Kramer and Jose Quintana as the projected starters. When you look at Dean Kramer, he's been better on the road so far this season with a 4.15 ERA. He pitched well in his last game against the Nationals, 6 innings of 1-run ball. I think he pitches well in this game. I think he gets the run support as well. When you look at Jose Quintana, we've mentioned the regression concerns in his game, and we're starting to see it now. His last two starts, 10 2/3 against the Mariners and A's, giving up a combined 9 earned runs, 11 base hits, 2 home runs, and 6 walks to go with it. So the control's starting to go. The Orioles have a pretty high walk rate against lefties in the last month. I think they get to Quintana early. I like the Orioles to win this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Phillies and the Braves in the NL East. We got Zach Wheeler and Reynaldo Lopez as the projected starters. Now, Reynaldo Lopez has put together a great season for Atlanta, but we were looking to fade him a little bit towards before his injury, really, his last couple of starts before the injury, and the Braves were 1-2 in those games. And it's not that Lopez was pitching poorly, but his expected numbers are pretty steep right now, and we did expect regression going forward, and we're starting to see that. We saw it in the minor league rehab start as well. It wasn't his best outing, 4 innings of 4 strikeout baseball, so, good there, but 6 base hits, 3 earned runs as well. Gave up a walk and a hit by pitch as well. When you look at the Phillies, their lineup hasn't been the best against righties in the last 30 days, but I still think they can get to Lopez. And when you got Zach Wheeler on the other side pitching as well as he has, it's tough to go against the Phillies, in my opinion, in this game. I'm going to roll with the Philadelphia Phillies on the money line and run line in this one. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Frankie Montas and Eric Fedde are your projected starters. At one point, we looked at this series in August, and we said this is going to be a big one for the NL Central race, but now the Brewers are 11 games up in the division, not really as crucial for St. Louis as they're 2 games below 500, but when you look at this matchup in terms of starting pitching, I do think St. Louis has the advantage. Fedde's not been the best with his new team in the first couple of starts, but his one home game at Busch Stadium was his best outing. It was 5 innings of 1-run ball, 6 strikeouts to go with it in a 5-2 Cardinals win. I think Fedde can at least go 5-6 solid innings here and keep the Cardinals in this game. When you look on the other side, Montas still not my favorite option for Milwaukee. I like St. Louis in the first 5 innings. I think the Brewers have the advantage of the bullpen, so if it's a close game late, maybe Milwaukee finds the win, but give me the St. Louis Cardinals in the first 5 innings. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago Cubs. We're going to see Javier Assad for Chicago, no official starter for Detroit. Now, Javier Assad's pitched well this year, 3.19 ERA. He's been even better at Wrigley Field. He's been a profitable pitcher recently, but still, when you look at the expected numbers, they are rather steep. And honestly, Detroit's bullpen's really improved so far in the month of August. They had a pretty rough month of July, but in August, they've been a lot better. I think we could see, I think it's going to be a close game here. Honestly, a game I'll probably be staying away from, but I think Detroit finds the win in the end. I'll lean towards the Tigers on the money line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Texas Rangers. Mitch Keller and Cody Bradford are your projected starters. Now, I'm not going to let 2 games define Mitch Keller's season. Obviously really struggling the last couple of games, 15 earned runs, 4 home runs, just 2, bad outings against the Dodgers and Padres. But those are the Dodgers and Padres, 2 teams. The Dodgers have one of the best records in baseball. The Padres have had one of the best records in baseball since the All-Star break. So those are 2 really tough matchups. Now you're facing the Rangers, who have just not been that great against right-handed pitching this season or in the last 30 days. When you look at Cody Bradford, a lefty, pitching well. He had a good start in that last game against the Twins, but the Pirates have been really solid against lefties recently. I think they can get to Bradford for a few runs early. I watched that game against Minnesota. I thought he pitched well. I think his final line was a little bit more impressive than the actual start, though. I think he was rather fortunate, especially late in that outing. I think the Pirates can take advantage of that. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Kansas City Royals. Tyler Anderson and Cole Ragans are your starters. Anderson's got that 3.3 ERA, but a 4.77 xFIP, 4.14 expected ERA. We saw him give up 7 earned runs and 2 bombs in that last start against the Blue Jays. I think this is a lopsided pitching matchup in favor of Kansas City. They've improved against lefties in the last couple of weeks. I think their bullpen's superior. Now, the Angels do a pretty good job at limiting strikeouts against left-handed pitching, but I still think Ragans is going to be able to put together another quality start here. I'm going to roll with the Royals on the run line in this one. Next up, we see the Astros and the Red Sox from Minute Maid Park. We got Ronel Blanco and Nick Pivetta as your starters. It was nice to see Ronel Blanco go 6 innings. He hadn't gone 6 innings in a while on the mound, and he put together a quality start, a shutout against the Tampa Bay Rays. Ended up being a 2-1 Astros victory. They've won 3 of his last 4 starts, including a game against these Red Sox. Now, he wasn't great in that game against Boston, but good enough. It was 4 innings of 2 earned run baseball, 5 strikeouts, no home runs is the key for me. He was able to limit the sharp contact, and the Astros backed him up offensively. I think, against Nick Pivetta, who's given up 2+ home runs in 4 straight games, I got to roll with the Houston Astros right now. Pivetta's been better on the road in his career, but even his last 2 starts were on the road. It wasn't great outings, so give me the Astros on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the San Diego Padres. Bailey Ober and Martin Perez are your projected starters. This is an interesting game here. We got 2 starting pitchers that are in great form and have been profit machines recently. Martin Perez with his new team, first 3 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer. All those were San Diego wins. Bailey Ober, the Twins have won his last 5 starts, and he's given up 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games as well. Now, Ober's been better at target field, but I still think he'll pitch pretty well in this game. However, it's a tough matchup. San Diego's been really solid against righties. When you look at the other side, Martin Perez, a lefty, facing a Twins team that's 25th in OPS against lefties in the last month. However, their power numbers are very good. They're making sharp contact. I think they've been rather unlucky. When you look at the BABIP, it's very low. It's sub 250. So, honestly, this is a tough one. I think both teams are playing well. I like both bullpens. I guess I would lean towards San Diego because I do think Perez, I think he's a little bit more trustworthy now that he's pitching at Petco Park. We mentioned the struggles on the road for Ober, and the Padres' bats have been very hot against righties. I do think the Padres are the better bullpen as well, so I'm going to lean towards the under and the Padres, but should be a great game. Next up, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Oakland Athletics. Shane Baz and Joey Estes are your projected starters. Baz so far a 4.9 expected ERA. It's actually dipped a little bit after his last start against Houston, but he gave up 2 more home runs in that game. He has given up a lot of sharp contact so far. His strikeout numbers sub 8 Ks per 9, not really what you want to see. I think Oakland could take advantage of that. They've been a pretty strong lineup in the power department, especially guys like Brent Rooker, one of the league leaders in home runs. So I think the A's can get to Baz for a few home runs or extra base hits early. And Joey Estes has given up 3 earned runs or fewer his last 5 games. He's been in pretty good form. The A's bullpen's not been too shabby. I think the Rays have the better bullpen, but I think Oakland can at least compete there. I think there's value with the A's in a game like this. Even though the Rays are starting to heat up offensively, I'm going to roll with the Oakland Athletics in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the San Francisco Giants. Davis Martin and Robbie Ray are your projected starters. Now, breaking news in a shocking turn of events, the Chicago White Sox have been eliminated from playoff contention this year. And to me, there's just not going to be a lot of value betting against Chicago the rest of the way. I think we're going to see them as a big dog, especially on the road in a lot of these matchups. Maybe, here and there we'll be able to find some value spots with this team, but I just don't think this is one of them. I think Robbie Ray puts together a strong start. He's not been the best so far with San Francisco, but I still think it's a good matchup for him against a White Sox team. It's been near the bottom of the league against lefties. Davis Martin's been okay so far in his first few games, but I think the Giants get to him for enough runs to win this game, cover the run line. Maybe lean towards the under. The under would definitely be a better price for you, but I'll lean towards San Francisco as well. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Bryce Miller and Walker Buehler are your starters. It just hasn't been a great season for Walker Buehler. A 1-4 record, 5.58 ERA. Has given up at least one home run in every start except one this season, and a few games with multiple home runs given up. The strikeout numbers have not been anywhere near as good as what we saw in recent years. The control's been off. The Dodgers are 2-4 in his last 6 starts, so he's not even a profitable option for LA. And when you look at Bryce Miller, the Mariners are 3-1 in his last 4 games. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5. He's in good form. Even though he's been better at home at T-Mobile Park, his last road game he went 7 innings of shutout baseball. So for me, the Mariners' offense is at least competitive against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days, where they're right around league average in OPS and ISO. The strikeout rate's still pretty steep, but I think they can get to Buehler for a few runs and find a way to win this game. I think the value lies with Seattle. Give me the Mariners in this one. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.